Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Jacobs. This is Pre-K-12 Education Talk Radio. It's January 4th, 2024. We did our first show of the new year yesterday, and in case you missed it, you can go back and listen to it, but I did say Happy New Year to everybody, so I won't do it all week long so that you know if you missed the show, you still get a good Happy New Year from me. We got a good one today for you here. We're going to be talking about a new project coming down from the Library of Congress. It's called the Music of Us, U.S., okay, like USA, okay, and it's a whole project dedicated to using music as a cultural and historical touchstone in social studies classes. Okay, and two of the people who are going to be putting it together, BERT Snow and Dave McCALL, are with us here today. And Dave, that's a great last name for doing music. Dave is the CEO, McCALL, Cool Music, as CEO of MUZZY Lane, and BERT runs BERT Snow and Company, both in the Boston area. And I'll be with them in 1 second. I just want to remind everybody that we're going to archive the show over at ace-ed.org, ace-ed.org, and that's the home website of our American Consortium for Equity in Education, which we think is really important. Everything we do over there is free. Go over there. Our magazine is there. The website is always really interesting. Well, our podcasts like this one are archived over there, plus a ton of other information, including information about our awards program. So please check it all out. Again, all free over at ace-ed.org. And I got 3 lines open and 2 guests, so let me take a shot here and see where I am. Okay, let me ask first of all, Dave, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, Dave. It's Larry here. How you doing today?
I'm doing great. Great to meet you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Great to meet you, too. And I usually ask how the weather is, but I know because I'm up here in southern Maine and you're down somewhere in the Boston area. Where are you in the Boston area, by the way?
We're in Newburyport, a little bit north of Boston.
Beautiful Newburyport. If people all over the country are listening, if you haven't been to New England, check out Newburyport. It's gorgeous. Let's find out where BERT, are you there?
I sure am.
Hi, BERT. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, it's great to be here. Thanks for having us on. And
that's my pleasure.
Yeah, it's a beautiful gray day in Newburyport. But
oh, you're there too. Okay, good. Newburyport, beautiful, by the way. It really is. Yeah. My kids grew up in Exeter, New Hampshire. Just so you know, I'm very familiar with the area. Okay, it's all good stuff. All right, I'm up here in southern Maine right now. I am curious. This is a great project. It's from the kind of Library of Congress. Okay, and just I don't know where to start on this one because it's so complicated and so cool. You're going to be creating a resource that teachers can use to use music, okay, as a touchstone of learning civics and history and democracy and all that sort of stuff. And I think I'm going to let you guys explain it better, and I'll start because B comes before D. I'll start with BERT.
Great. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so
let's explain it.
I've been part of a successful project with the library called Kids Citizen, which is about exploring history and civics through historical photographs. And that really got me wondering about whether, and so you can imagine, right, exploring a photograph, like you tap on the photograph, you zoom in on it, you think about what you're seeing a picture of. And it got me really thinking about how could we do something similar with music, right? Music is very different. It's, you're listening to it. And so I had been thinking about this, and the Library of Congress put out through this initiative called the Lewis Houghton Initiative, they put out a call for projects for learning about civics and democracy through the arts, and they specifically were thinking about music. And I just thought, this is a chance to really explore whether this is possible. And I should say, and doing everything that I'm describing on screens. So that really was the inspiration. Could we make something where, your students are listening to music, and as the music is going by, they're listening for something interesting in it that then they can tap and they can connect to the history. It might be the history of the musician, of the time, something in the style of music that tells you something about where music was going or the history of the time. And then from tapping, they can then make connections to that history and to our history as a nation, right? To our civic life, because music music is a huge part of our culture, and musicians have been important figures in the development of our history, beyond just the development of musical styles.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, by the way. I love it. By the way, you're talking to a former history teacher who just loves anything to do with something like this that creates a whole new way to explore civics and American history in particular, and even world history. Okay, I want to ask you, and before we go on with the music, is Kid Citizen still available for everybody? You still working on that?
It sure is. It's available at kidcitizen.net, and it's free for teachers and students with ongoing support from the Library of Congress. It's been very successful. It's used by teachers and students all over the country. And
wonderful.
I should say
heard of it.
We're a small group, and we don't do marketing, but it's done very well.
Well, I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. What I want to do a podcast starring just you and Kid Citizen.
Oh, please do. Yeah.
Yeah, who sounds like a Marvel hero. Oh, look, in the sky, it's Kid Citizen. Okay? So I really want to do something on this.
Awesome.
Okay?
So thank you.
Well,
so what I should say to...
Thank you.
Yeah. So to draw Dave in, Kid Citizen is built on the author platform, which is created by MUZZY Lane. And one of the reasons that Kid Citizen has been so successful is that the author platform is a platform that just works across devices. It's all works in the HTML5 front end in the browser. It works everywhere, and all across the country for the last 5 years, we've had just absolutely no technical issues. And I think from Dave and my shared work in games and learning, I think that's one of the things that we've learned is that it's very easy for technical issues to get in the way of students actually working with what you've tried to create. So I'm grateful to MUZZY Lane for the quality of the work they've done, and hence we're building Music of Us on MUZZY Lane's platform and technology.
That's excellent, and thank you for that, and a good segue over to David. And by the way, I want to say one thing before we do move to David, and that is this, that music, you said photographs, that's visual. Music is listening, and listening is a too often forgotten critical skill. And if we can teach kids to listen and learn, and I'm not talking about disciplinary listening, I'm talking about real deep listening. Okay, that really adds to the critical skills they need, and a lot of people don't have that skill, if I may. Okay, and we got to listen rather than talk, and I just think it's very important as part of the Music of US experience. Now over to, so I think that's important. Dave, tell us about MUZZY Lane. You and Bert are working. You're the CEO of MUZZY Lane. Tell me what you do, or tell the world what you do, if I may. Dave McCALL,
so
everybody.
MUZZY Lane is we're an educational technology company. As Bert mentioned, we have a platform called MUZZY Lane Author. We partner with online course developers to help them build simulations and other interactive content easily for student learning and assessment, and really focused in the last few years on the transition to the skills-based economy and using simulations as a way to build skills-based practice, skills-based assessment, and have just recently released a product called Skill Build Critical Thinking, which is online courses to help people develop their critical thinking skills, assess them, and then give them a micro-credential that they can use in their sort of job search to help improve their prospects.
Pretty cool. And you're one of those companies, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, who's sort of in the background of education, one of those hundreds of companies that do such great work, but teachers, educators wouldn't necessarily know you're there. Correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, because the work you do is kind of inside. You know what I'm saying. I hope you take that as a compliment. Yeah.
No, yeah, the authoring platform very much is white labeled into a lot of other people. McGraw-Hill, for example, is one of our large customers. We probably serve close to 1 million of their students this year. But yeah, we're in the background. But with Skill Build, we're much more in the foreground, so we'll be more visible going forward. Okay,
so now how do you and Bert work together? Who's the creative side, the pedagogical side, the creative side? Where are we? Okay, and Dave, I'm asking you. How do you guys coordinate?
Yeah, so we're the technology underpinning. So it's interesting. The author platform came out of a Gates Foundation research grant that we got back in 2015 that Bert ran the research for, and what what we really heard from instructors and course creators is they wanted to control the content development. They had a vision of what they wanted to create. They wanted tools that helped them create that vision. So in this case, BERT has a vision for Music of Us. We'll be providing technology features and authoring features that help him create that vision.
Right. And by the way, us is both letters US are capitalized. I assume we're like United States USA. Okay, it's the music of America, if I may. Correct?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
We're leaning into that pun, and exactly that's exactly right. The music of America.
I'm so clever. I figured that out. I can't believe it. Okay, it's really good stuff. So where do you begin? First of all, when will this be available and where? I'll go back to BERT here. BERT, when will this become available? Where will it be available?
So it'll probably be widely available next summer or fall. This spring, we're going to be piloting our first sort of episodes in technology with some schools in Delaware. But the grant, we just got started on this in October, and as you can imagine,
wow.
we've got to build the tools and the episodes and so forth. So we're working madly to have that ready. But then once it's ready, it will be available to everybody on the web at musicofus.org.
Great.
It'll be free. It'll be free for teachers and students with support from the Library of Congress. And so it'll be there.
Can I ask you guys? I want to ask you guys, when this becomes available, and this is a great show that we're doing now, but can you guys put a reminder, or my good buddy Chris, who helped me set up the show, a reminder that when this becomes available, get back in touch so we can do another show and remind people this is available, let's just say in June or something. Would that be okay? Can you guys calendar that?
That sounds great.
I would hope you do. Unless you don't like yourself, like the show today, then you don't have to do that. But I have a feeling you will like it. Okay, and are liking it right now. I hope so. Otherwise, it'd just kill my ego. So I got to start.
That's right.
Your BERT. You say you're the creative side. So where are you starting with this? And that's an interesting question. A lot of people, this stuff doesn't magically appear on the website. All the stuff we use on all the websites doesn't magically appear. It has to start somewhere. So where do you start? Are you using music teachers? Are you using historians? Are you using music professors, social studies education professors? I don't know. Where does it start?
All of the above. You hit it. I have a team that includes social studies content developers, the head of the American String Teachers Association, a veteran music teacher, and a writer, James Sullivan, who actually reviews music for the Boston Globe, but also is the author of a book, History of 20th Century America in 50 Protest Songs. So we really,
wow.
Yeah. And
wow.
I myself am a veteran game designer and a musician. So
what do you play? What do you play, Mr. Musician?
I play upright and electric bass.
All right.
The queen of instruments. No, just kidding. But
I'll give you that. Okay.
A good bass player is never out of work. I will say that.
And
much.
if we learn nothing else today, we're going to learn that. Say it again.
A good bass player is never out of work.
There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you looking for a job? Because we can help you with that. No, I'm only kidding. That's great.
Yeah.
So you're a music guy. You're a music guy. You get this, and I have to. For some reason, this morning I was walking around the house humming "The Times They Are A-Changing." Okay, Bob Dylan's great song. And I don't know why it just popped into my head, like most things. And protest songs. Just that alone, I'm thinking really the 60s and 70s. It's just so amazing. The impact that protest music had on that. And I was thinking earlier about World War I and all the patriotic music that people love to go to war with. Okay, they love marching down the street and going off to war, waving goodbye to the soldiers. Okay, like Over There and all that sort of thing, which George M. Cohan wrote. There's a lot of stuff. How do you go back Okay, and this is interesting. How did you go back into American history? And I'm going back to you, Dave, in a minute. But how did you get back in American history? We don't have recordings of early American songs. This is really an interesting project. How do you build from the beginning? There you go, buddy.
Well,
try that one.
Yeah. So we're actually working entirely, at least in this first year, with music before 1924, because the Library of Congress really wants to emphasize music that's freely available to everybody, that everybody, that we can use, and that anybody who hears it can work with it. And recorded music sort of starts around, before that, around the turn of the century.
Right.
And there's a lot of pretty amazing music that we have to work with. We've been looking at, for instance, the composer James Reese Europe, who was, an African-American early jazz musician who put together a band and a World War I regiment, went over, fought in World War I with his regiment and his orchestra, the James Reese Europe Orchestra, brought a lot of sort of the beginnings of jazz music to Europe, and so a really, really interesting character that I think isn't nearly as well known in our history as I think that he will be in. Exactly. James Reese Europe, very interesting guy.
How do you spell his last name? U-R-E-P?
No, it's Europe, just like the
like the continent.
R-O-P-E. Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. And then you think about spirituals and gospel, right? That started around that time.
Oh, great
really
point.
As the recordings come along, and then the early blues singers, right? In a lot of ways, that early blues music was protest music too, right? But maybe in a more personal way. Like we're looking at a song, "You Don't Know My Mind" by Clara Smith, right? Or you think about house rent blues, right? That's really about, it's about what happens when you've got nothing, or
can't pay the rent.
A great song called "All In, Down and Out," Arthur Collins and his orchestra from 1907.
Wow.
That became the model for the later song that we know better called "Nobody Loves You When You're Down and Out."
Wow.
Right? But yeah, so there's so much there. It's really, in a way, a problem of making the choice of what few pieces of music we're going to work with in our pilot from the many that we'd like to. Yeah.
And I got to tell you, thank you for that reminder. Gospel, of course, gospel music has been handed down through many, many generations. And that would be a classic way to look at this. By the way, guys, I'm going to recommend an old movie to you that's called Songcatcher. I don't even know if it's still available. Okay, but Songcatcher it's a dramatic film, but it's about a music professor who goes down to Appalachia and starts exploring in the hills of Kentucky and etc. where the music came from. And it's really kind of a fascinating movie, again, acted out, but it's considering what you're doing, it might be something you want to watch. Songcatcher.
Wow, that sounds great. And
yeah, it is. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. But
there's a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
There's a lot of great music of that type that's also in the Library of Congress's, in their digital resources that I should just say that there's just so much that you can find at the Library of Congress's website now at loc.gov. For history teachers, or if you're interested in history, photographs, music, documents, they're working, year in, year out in digitizing more and making it available. And that's really become a big focus of the library over the last decade, is making what they've got sort of more available to all of us.
Exactly, and it's the story of America. Okay, and all that. So knowing all this, let me swing over. Thank you, Bert. Knowing over this, Dave, what happens at your end? Okay, when you get this sort of information, what does Muzzy Lane have to do? I don't mean it that way. How does Muzzy Lane do its job? What do you put together at that end?
So we're really, the front end of this for us is very much a software engineering project where, BERT comes to us with his vision. He's got storyboards of what the editors should look like, how the authoring should work, and we sort of have to engineer that. We have to software engineer that into something that he and his team can use to build these episodes. So it's interesting, and it's definitely starting from the Kid Citizens reference point, because there's a lot of similarities between the two projects, but we basically have to build him an editor so he can start building these scenarios, and then we have to build what we call a player, which is what you would actually run on your device, on your computer or your phone to play these episodes. And I think what's really cool, that what you guys are just talking about is, BERT mentioned there's only a few pieces of music they can choose for this first pilot, but
right,
given that they're opening the editor up to high school students and teachers, like that whole wealth of content on the Library of Congress will really be valuable for all of them, so they can explore, much broader themes beyond what BERT's able to do.
Yeah, they got to be able to do it. The different music engages different students. Kids from, I'll just say it this way, Appalachia may be different from kids from New Orleans, okay? And we want to keep kids engaged. We want them to understand history, but history has to be taught in context. And part of the context, especially, I think, since the invention of the radio, part of the context is music, okay? It's always in the background. Okay, prior to the radio, you literally had to go out of your house to find it for the most part. Okay, you had to go to church, whatever. But music and recording, phonographs, okay, and then these then to Marconi. Okay, and it's interesting that his band or something. But what's something that really just knocked you out just as you're beginning this thing, Dave?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch that last little bit. Can you just repeat the question? Sorry.
Sure. Any surprises, okay, as you started this project? And I was mentioning that I never heard of Mr. Europe and his band, okay, and how they had an impact on World War II. You hear that sort of African-American history, okay? You hear Georgia McCALL band with over there, but you don't hear that. But what are some of the surprises, or a surprise that may have, like, well, I've heard of this before, I never thought of this before? Well, I think he's gone.
I'm still here. Definitely, we were having some audio trouble.
Yes, you are. Okay, one of the just dropped. Okay, now hopefully he'll be calling back. But let's put that question over to you. Oh, he's back. Hold on a second. Wait, maybe let me see what we can do here.
Yeah.
Dave.
Yeah.
Dave.
Or sorry, yeah, I no difficulties on my end. I apologize.
It's okay. Did you hear the question?
No, I did not hear the question.
Okay, the question is, okay, surprises. I think you can develop this. Have there been any surprises to you? Something you didn't know before that all of a sudden you figured this just rose up. I was using the example of Mr. Europe and his band, okay, which I never heard of. What surprised you so far? I think he's going to.
So Dave, I'm jumping in for Dave because
yes,
I'm laughing and thinking that Dave is thinking, well, the surprises that I'm getting are the features that BERT is asking us to create for the editor, and whether he's asking for any features that can't be built.
What surprised you so far?
Yeah.
What surprised you?
And I think for me, one of the surprises has been the extent to which I'm not finding that this has been done before. Larry, you were saying earlier just sort of the importance of listening. It feels like that hasn't really been so much of a focus. And so just the question of how do you build an interactive experience where you start by listening to music, and then as you listen, you can tap to explore things. It really hasn't been done, or I haven't found it done in that way. So it's kind of simultaneously really exciting and terrifying. That really there isn't exactly pedagogy for how to do this. So right now we're really building our software tools to allow us to build our episodes, and we're trying to make that a flexible tool so that we'll be able to try having the episodes work in different ways, because we really don't know. Like, just to give you an example, we might ask a question. As you're listening to this next piece of music, think about what in it might be different from what people of the time were expecting to hear, right? Mm-hmm. That might be the kind of question we'd ask. And so, and now here comes the music, and we haven't told the students what to hear. And so they might tap at different times as they think of different things. And our job will be to have interesting responses for them at the different times that they tap based on what's there, right? Our episodes are not going to be about right answers and wrong answers. They're going to be about giving interesting feedback based on what you hear, right, and then sort of start, and then asking the next question, right, so that the students kind of keep exploring based on what they heard and what they thought, and then the next question to keep them going.
Well, starting with the listening skill, which again is reminded me of, when rock and roll first hit. And when I have to say it this way, when rock and roll first became sort of mainstream in the white community, okay, and adults not expecting to hear what they were hearing. So I described it as music from the jungle. What the hell's going on here? Okay, now
right,
rock
exactly.
and roll. Thank you very much. Yeah, rock and roll is a whole thing. Everybody goes with it. Okay, it was
right.
just they couldn't believe this was coming out on American radios at that time. Okay, white people, I have to say this. Okay, white people felt that way. All right, and look at what the impact of that on society is. Just that's the thing that comes to mind when you make your statement. Dave, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Come back.
Yep.
Okay, and I was asking you, I'm going to try one more time before we go. What was your biggest surprise so far with all this?
I think it was interesting how similar the authoring environment was to Kid Citizen, and it was interesting to just sort of look and see what Bert's vision was and how he was able to reuse a lot of the same sort of interactions and student experiences from Kid Citizen, even though obviously music is a very different medium than images.
And what you guys are doing is, we all know this. I heard the term yesterday, Generation Alpha, which is one I never heard of before. Kids are like 14 to 18 now or something. But, these are all digital citizens, okay? And when you create something like this that they can use to become interactive with, and that it engages kids of all races, all genders, okay? It's extreme, all socioeconomic levels, okay? Because music can work that way. Okay, it's really something you're doing not only to learn history.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys. Enjoy a beautiful Newburyport. It will be snowing on Sunday, just so you know.
I know, big storm coming.
So we hear.
There's your local weather report.
All
Thanks,
right,
guys. Have a good day.
Great. Thanks so much. Thanks for talking with us.
You're welcome.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay. Wow, that was great. Okay. Okay, let's go over this again. That's Bert Snow and Company, the game designer and pedagogical genius, okay, doing interactive work to create the music of us, capital U.S., okay, from the Library of Congress grant to be used by educators. Okay, the background guy, the tech guy, is going to create all the stuff that you're going to use as a resource to teach context, civics, and listening skills when this comes out sometime in the late spring, we'll say. We'll do another show at that point. So thank you, Chris Peeler. Thanks for listening. Happy New Year.